So you build a relationship with these institutions on the personal side, then lightly on the business side, and then a little bit larger level on those like big loans.
Let me just light this up a little bit, like kind of frame it out. We have several businesses, but the two that I want to focus on is Joe to Joe and MWW. Joe to Joe, definitely older, right? 4 or 5 years, maybe even a little younger than that. And MWW is going to be 2 years on the 14th of September. And the interesting part about MWW is there's more cash flow on that side. And yet we seem to be hitting barriers, even with when it comes to like $1,000 credit, $1,000 secure credit card, right? Like
It's amazing.
Bank of America.
Well, not only that, but we're getting offers from creative funding for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then Bank of America, who we've been using for 3 to 4 years, won't unsecure a $1,000 secured card.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous. And we'll go to other banks. They'll say, yeah, sure, here's a line of credit, or here's a this, here's a that. And Joe to Joe is the opposite.
Yeah.
Traditional funding, we don't really have a problem getting if we want it. But creative funding, it's a little harder because we don't have the big channel. We have a lot of little channels.
Yeah.
A little more difficult. They deem those a little riskier.
Let me frame something up and then correct me or change it around.
Yeah, because this is important. People should know that there's all these different ways that you can get funding to run your business idea, especially if it's a cash flow idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think first there's a lot of myths out there, right? Like, hey, like you got to wait until this, you got to do this, you got to like you're never going to get it, the bank will.
Which is the way we built our company because no one ever taught me.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I fell down the rabbit holes of YouTube and read it and just was like, F it, going for it. And then it's like, oh yeah, not only does it work, but I get it, like completely, like, you know what I mean? Being able to use other people's funds to build your business, protect any assets in other LLCs. You know what I mean? It's just like so much better, a less stressful of a way.
Yeah.
Although had we known about it then, maybe it would have been too easy of money. I don't know.
That's a great point. For us, I think this was it came at the right time. That's
true because now we're like, all right, well, and we don't really need it, but
yeah,
maybe you want to diversify, or maybe you want to scale, or maybe there's a cash flow issue or whatever. Protection, it's there.
Insurance.
Or everything goes to hell in a few years. All right, we have some outs.
Yeah. So
it's nice to have, but no one teaches us in school. And it's honestly the way the financial system works is just it's not that complicated, and it does make sense.
Yeah, I think the the real lesson there is like experience and talking to people who are actually doing it, right? Like they're doing it right now, or they've done it right, and they understand it, and they can help you in that direction.
Like we were talking before about our buddy who is trying to do this for his company, and he got denied.
Yeah.
So his credit is like a 650 something on Experian and a 680 on another one and a 670 on another one. It's right there. It's close.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his exact stuff is on his credit report to be able to like dissect why it's low and why it's not a 700. But if you get that to 700, it's game over.
Yeah.
But there's another way you can do it besides getting it to 700.
So what did he apply for, right? Like I think very specifically we should just lay it out. Like so he applied for a credit card?
He applied for Chase credit card, business credit card.
Yeah.
On a personal. And a Truist business credit card. Both are really good business credit cards to get. I don't even go into why, but they're high limit cards. They're good banks to start with, to start building your credit profile.
Yep.
And then get lines of credit and all that.
So we have great things to say about them. It's just that
absolutely,
specific scenario.
Basically, it was like, well, you're close. You might as well try it. And if it doesn't work for the next 3 months, we'll fix the things on your credit, and we will also establish a relationship with Chase and Truist by opening up a business checking account with both, putting money in there, spending it a little, putting a little more money, keeping money in there, showing them that we're responsible with money. We're not desperate, like the money's going to zero or anything like that.
Right.
And after about 3 months of that and raising your credit a little bit, it's a slam dunk. You'll get those. And then those lead to more cards from them, increases, lines of credit. Other banks see, oh, you have open credit over there and it's clean. Yeah, we'll give you some too. And so it's just like a snowball effect from there.
Now talk about your personal, so like in your situation, to help the business, you already had an existing relationship.
I didn't have it for a long time. I had it for about 6 months. So and that was good enough.
Okay, so step by step, you had it. You opened it up. Was
Right.
was it a high limit? Was it?
I got my credit up to about a 700. Or
Yeah.
close. I think it was around like 7 on one and 690. So it was like, and then Chase gave me a $5,000 card,
Okay.
the Sapphire Preferred,
Okay.
and then American Express gave me like a 1K card and a gold card, which is a charge card.
Okay.
Which like has probably like a 10K limit to it that they gave me. They don't give you a limit. It's just you got to spend it and then you got to pay it back next month. That's the problem with those cards.
Okay.
And then I also got a Discover card.
So limits on all three were.
3 months later, after I asked for an increase, and I got an increase on all of them
How do you think that happened?
because I spent money on them and I paid it off in full.
Like immediately.
Always paid it off in full before the month ended. So
Right.
now they're like, oh, he wants a limit increase. It makes sense. He's spending money,
Yeah.
and he's responsible. So yeah, it's a good person to do it for because they make money off that too.
Yeah, but you didn't max the cards out, right? Like,
I did a couple times.
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter if you paid in full.
Yeah. Okay.
And also that'll hurt your score. But as long as you pay it off before the report date,
Yeah.
it looks good. They make the most money off of that client. People think it's bad to spend money on credit cards. It's not.
Right.
It's like they make all their money off of you spending money on that. They don't want you to hang a balance and then charge you interest. That's just a penalty for f***ing them.
Right. Well, because I think what people say is like, what I've seen around is like, well, 30% utilization or under that, right?
At the
around
report
there.
date.
And is there a specific date on that, or is just
Yeah, they'll tell you what it is on your either app or your statement date.
the statement date? Okay, I got
It's
it.
not the statement date. There's different dates. It's usually like 4 days before the statement date.
All right.
So good rule of thumb is a week before the statement date, pay your cards off, and then keep them kind of clean for a few days if you can,
Yeah.
and then it'll report zero, or whatever.
And then ask for an increase.
Yeah, because you don't have to stay under that as long as you can pay it. That's like they make the most money off that. Pay it in full. They like you. They're like, you want more? Okay. So then after 3 months of that, so I did max it out.
Right.
I was spending all my money on the credit cards, getting points, and then paying them off in full. The same cost to me.
Right.
The monthly fee to some cards, so it's like, $100 a year or whatever, but you also get like $10 in Uber credits a month, $10 in hotel and DoorDash and all this other that like it makes up for that.
Just last thing here is, where are we going from here? Right. So, I mean, I could give a full scale, but I think just in bigger chunks, like the bigger view of this, we don't actually have to go with numbers, but like just where do you think we're going from here? Like two businesses, we'll talk about MWW, Joe to Joe, funding, financing, traditional funding. Like what's the next step?
Well, that's a great question because that's where we're at right now. And it's what I'm trying to figure out. I think about it a lot and I think I have a decent idea for it. But before we even get into that, we'll talk about like, we have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
I can only guarantee one business.
You personally.
Right.
Yeah.
So which is Joe to Joe.
Right.
I can't then also guarantee MWW. I could, but they're not going to give me that much money or any because they're like, look, we already they know who you are.
Right.
They're like here, you have a business profile. We've extended you a lot of credit. Even if you've done well for it, they're not just going to keep giving you like,
$5 billion?
yeah, I mean, I think of how bad you could get them,
Right. Sure.
So that's where business partners and people you trust come into play.
And the business itself. I mean, obviously, at some point, if the business does well enough, right?
And other LLCs.
Right.
So you can buy some other LLCs or form some other LLCs or trusts or nonprofits, buy stuff with the credit you've opened, move them to those,
Yep.
have them protected. Because if your business, let's say we get $1 million in credit for Joe to Joe and if we go bust and I have to go bankrupt or whatever, or the company goes bankrupt. Well, I personally guaranteed that. Well, all right, well, now I'm screwed for a little while. But everything I bought is not.
Right.
Some of them are cash flowing, some of them are investments, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all that game to it. And then also, like, yeah, you can just run the same system with somebody else that is a partner. And, like, we have partners. So each partner, can open up an LLC and you can extend and you can each get some credit. And then you'll have options. I don't know what they are. I like the idea of cash flowing businesses, like buying 3 cars and towing them until they pay themselves off, as just one stupid example. But like, I like those ideas because it's bringing them cash right back.
Yeah.
where like
We should try that. I think we should just try doing that and then explaining how well it went.
Yeah, Airbnbs, but like the problem with Airbnbs is that the rates you're gonna get from buying like stuff on a card are high.
Yeah.
Compared to finance. Well, a car is high too, but you're gonna pay the car off in 2-3 years. Usually you'll have a no APR card for 18 months or something. So it's not that big of a deal that you have a higher. Whereas a home usually takes 20-30 years to pay off.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get hosed if you do that unless you're cash flowing a ton.
Yeah, you'd really have to.
But here's the kicker to that. Yeah. If you develop a good enough relationship with these and then you go to next one, Amex, PNC, whatever. Just keep developing relationships and be responsible. Get limit increases every 6 months. One of them will then finance that property for you.
Yep.
Because you've been working with them for 5 years, you're trustable. They're like, look, he's easy money, he's safe, business plan makes sense.
Yeah.
So you build a relationship with these institutions on the personal side, then lightly on the, business side.
Yep.
And then a little bit larger level on those like big loans.
Play a long-term game with long-term players. I like that.
Pretty much, and consider them partners. And what they want is their money back every month.
Yeah.
Or like not every month, but they want some consistent payback. And
so the next step sounds like we're getting the other partners involved. Like that's what we attempted to do, right? In terms of
exactly. And well, the next step is like, what the hell do we do with what I view it for right now is protection for our YouTube company,
yeah,
or a video marketing company. But it's like I'd rather put it to work.
Yeah.
Because I'm just ambitious, I want to put it to work.
Right.
Like, so I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to get in debt. Like, I don't want to just do it because I'm bored and there's money to be put to work. So that's why I like the idea of a cash flow business. It diversifies away from the digital products that we're creating, the channels we make, the channels we help.
It's a nice barrier between those.
It's the exact opposite thing. We've done it before, we know how to do it. So it's like, it's a cool one.
Shape it, replacing the truth. I really can't hate it, but the lies are so creative. I don't mean to celebrate it, but it's cool. But look, the more that I deny you, as the fuel to the fire, your delusions I desire, but it's cool.